Happy New Year. It is a new year of baseball, and the Texas Rangers kick it off today with Game 1 of 162 against the Boston Red Sox. A pregame edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast starts now. Oh, it is finally here after months of waiting, a full month, actually almost a month and a half of preparation. It's now time to lace them up for real and say, play ball, as the Rangers start the season against the Boston Red Sox. Hi there, welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the Rangers, DLLS Rangers podcast. Jeff Wilson is at Globe Life Field. I'm John Radigan. I'm here in studio. We've got Elijah over here, the prophet, taking care of things. I see you in the chat, and we appreciate you. And I started my day out there, Jeff, which I'm really glad I did. The atmosphere, the ambiance, the whole vibe of opening day, like it so greatly extends beyond the stadium. The tailgating, just the excitement of people, it's all there. It's all present.
It sure is, and there's really only one day like it out of the year. You can't match the fun and the hopefulness, um, the buzz, if you will. Even the postseason. Maybe the first game of the World Series is pretty sweet, but early on, there's just not the build up for it unless your team is going and you're just kind of cruising in there. So it's definitely one of a kind. There are a lot of media here. It's a full press box. A lot of them won't be back for several months, and that doesn't upset me in the least. But people dressed up and in suits, not me, of course. And a lot of people treat this like a national holiday or a big event. And I'm wearing my "Do It for Durrett," wrong side, "Do It for Durrett" shirt. Richard Durrett used to always wear a coat and tie on opening day, so I figured I could honor Richard that way. This is my coat and tie, if you will. But fun times. It's a huge game, but I think the most important thing to remember is it's one game.
Yeah.
It's one of 162. So if the Rangers lose, 12-4, don't panic. If they win 13-1, don't think they're going to win the World Series. There's a long way to go, but it does get a lot of attention.
Yeah, 37 opening days for me, and it's the very first one, Jeff, where I haven't worn a suit. And
Hey, congratulations.
glad. We remember when we started this thing, cutting the tie off. And I'm super glad that I'm not wearing a suit today. 37, by the way, in 38 years. Last year, I wasn't there. But other than that, I've been to every opening day since 87. So going back to the Tigers, who are also playing today. Austin Wells, by the way, hit the first home run of the season for the Yankees. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about your Texas Rangers, and the Prophet's back here just making all kinds of noise just because, it's opening day. You got to have that excitement. And there we go.
He wanted to show the remnants of the tie.
Yeah.
And he did. He snuck it right by your head, but
he did. That was you're looking for.
He did.
I got to the ties up there. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. All right. Well, if you didn't remember, now you know. Thank you, Prophet. And also, it's so exciting for players, especially players who are experiencing their first opening day. Our buddy and our colleague, John Moore, took the camera out there to the clubhouse today when we were in there, and he was asking some of the first-timers what they felt. Here's John with Mark Church. Yeah, they all came in from Atlanta area where Mark Church is from, and I know Jeff, you've had a good relationship over with Mark over the years in his journey through the minor leagues. But it really is fun, and Bochy, I think Abby actually might have asked him about it, but the whole idea of getting to tell players they made the team, Boat says is one of his favorite things that he ever gets to do. And Mark was telling us that it was really fun, like that he walked into the office grinning from ear to ear, anticipating the news he was about to get.
Yeah, I'd seen him Tuesday morning because, and I told him this yesterday. The Rangers had a workout yesterday. There was no media availability in the clubhouse, and so I waited for him to come off the field. And I told him that on Tuesday, we all knew what was happening. When you've done this long enough, you know when guys are getting the news. And he had come into the clubhouse and was just all like disoriented and looked upset. And I was like, oh man, he might have gotten some bad news, but you don't want to talk to him about it right there in the clubhouse. So anyway, after the game, it was explained to us that he did make it. And so yesterday, I congratulated him. And I said, I just told the story I told. I was like, man, you looked like you had just been. He's like, oh, I was a mess. I couldn't find my pants. I couldn't find my t-shirt. They didn't know where they were. And he was like, and then on top of it, I had all this stress, and so it was not his finest moment. But then to get the news that nearly all these guys wait for, and then conversely though, and you don't see these on social media, is when guys get told they're being sent down or
Yeah.
didn't make the team, as was the case with, as we know, Evan Carter and Sam Haggerty, who had a nice camp. Patrick Murphy, who everybody thought would make the team, he has a pectoral injury, and that's the reason why he didn't make it. I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, and he felt it in his last bullpen session of spring training, if he doesn't get hurt, he's on this opening day roster, and maybe Church or Garabito isn't. So, talk about awful timing for a guy, but so that's just terrible. But yeah, it's the best of times in one sense and the worst of times, Boach said. So it's a tough day, tough decisions, but you know, everybody who's on this team now is happy. Kevin Pillar, a veteran
Right.
who's played for a long time. He's 37, 38 years old. Even he was thrilled to make the team. He came in with no guarantees. Talked about that today, and is just ecstatic to be on this team. And spring hopes uh, eternal, or whatever the saying is. Hope
Hope
springs
springs
eternal.
eternal. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some writer I am. And that's the case on opening day. And everybody thinks that the Rangers are going to be a great team. All the Rangers think they are. Bruce Bochy does. Of course, he tempers it. You need work. You need to execute. You need some luck along the way. But this is a big day. All 40,000 people in here think their team is going to win. I say their team because I'm sure there are a lot of Red Sox fans here. But it's that day across baseball. And even if, like I said, win or lose, it's still plenty of reason for optimism.
There's no doubt about that. And Boach mentioned when just asked about letting guys know that they had made the team, he said, yeah, even Kevin Pillar, as advanced in his career as he is, he said he was really excited, and we don't blame him. And what he told us when we were chatting with him earlier is once he decided to join this and do this and jump back into it, he said his wife would call him and say, or text him or whatever and say, "What's the news? What's the latest?" And he's like, "I'm not going there. I'm not asking. I'm just
Yeah.
doing what I do. I owe it to myself to just get out there and be the best I can be. And when they tell me something, they'll tell me something." And obviously easier said than done, Jeff, but that's a great way to approach the process.
Yeah, no, and I kind of envisioned me doing that and my wife calling and asking me because it would have happened. And I mean, it just, it's the mindset. He had to win a roster spot. This is a guy who's been a really good major league player. He has 10-year service time. You don't hang around in the major leagues that long if you're no good. And he had to make the roster. And it wasn't an ideal circumstance for him not having a guaranteed deal coming to a camp, but he also wanted to be close to his family. They just moved to Argyle. And so he wanted to be near his family, and he wanted a chance to win. He probably could have signed with the White Sox. Well, maybe not the White Sox because they cut him last year, but maybe he could have signed with a team that's going to be in the lower division, and not had to worry about it. He even called the path last year an easy path to the White Sox roster. and he took a lot of things for granted, he said, and he went to the Angels and kind of got a second lease on his baseball career, and he wasn't going to do that to himself again. He didn't want to take anything for granted. He came in, he worked hard. I mean, he hit the ground running. He was in mid-season form right from the get-go and was getting hits left and right in these games. And with Evan Carter struggling the way he did, Kevin Pillar kind of became a must-have for the Rangers.
Yeah, and it's worked out so well, and he's in the starting lineup today. We'll get to that lineup here in just a moment on this edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast, a pregame edition. One of the other guys we wanted you to hear from, I should say, kind of knew quite a ways back that it was pretty likely that he was going to make this club. Still, it's the first major league opening day for Jack Leiter too.
Yeah, I mean it's what you dream about. So you don't really know how your brain's going to be thinking when that happens. But I get to enjoy today as a fan, not throwing today. So I'm excited to do it and watch Evaldi throw.
That's interesting that, his thought there is, I'm excited to be here, but to watch Evaldi throw. Hell, he's pitching tomorrow, Jeff. I mean, that's what the pitcher does the day before. I mean, it's not just, popcorn and peanuts for Jack Leiter today. He's got work to do.
Yeah, he needs to watch how this Red Sox lineup goes about it, because they both, he and Evaldi, obviously much different careers. I mean, Evaldi's 35, 36, and Jack is just breaking in, but they throw a lot of pitches, they throw hard, and it'll be interesting to see if there are, any similarities and something that Jack can pull away from Evaldi's start, or find something that the Red Sox did that would work, would he could exploit, something to that extent. Also with Jack, and this is a interesting little side note, today during batting practice, he got hit in the head by a fly ball.
Oh,
So,
geez.
yeah, yeah. Mike Bassick saw it happen. We were talking to Ross Fenstermaker and Raul Cardenas, and Mike looked out and saw it happen, and they brought Jack off the field, and I think they all had a laugh about it. And then he came back out and hopped back on the field and went about his business. So looks like he'll be able to start. He just may have a little knot on his head when he does it, but it is cool for the first time guys. Kamar Rocker's another one. Hey, your son Garabito, good for him. What a journey he's been on the last 12 months. And that's neat for him to be able to make an opening day roster. I know he had some things had to fall his way for it to happen, but they did, and here he is, a guy who was pitching in the Pan Am games not that long ago, and the Rangers stumbled upon him and turned out to be pretty good. So every one of these players has a story. They're all worth telling, and gonna have a good time doing it this year.
Yeah, and the story of this season began the second that these guys walked into the clubhouse today, and they were all greeted by this huge sort of parcel of gifts in front of their locker. Take a look at what Josh Young, as it turns out, gave each of these guys as a gift. There they are. Yeti stuff all over the place. The meta stuff is expensive. You've got the bonfire pit down there. You've got the headphones, the earbuds, the shaving kit. Each player received that. And Josh delivered 30 of those packages just like that to his teammates. Mark Church told me, it's like, man, I walked in, I thought it was Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't get that in the minor leagues, did you? They're greatly appreciative of Josh. I asked Josh about it, Jeff, and he said, look, I want to begin the season inspiring this group to give for each other, right? We're all here. We give to each other. We give for each other. And that is just a great message to send to his teammates, and to establish sort of that mode, that feeling in the clubhouse on day one.
Yeah, yeah, and Josh Young is a young player. Different spellings, of course, but he hasn't had I guess 23. You can say it was a full season, even though he missed about a month or 5 weeks. He hasn't gone start to finish yet, and he's like a veteran. He's been through some real serious injuries. He's seen how important chemistry is, and for him to do that, and Bruce Bochy said it's the first time he's ever seen that happen. Bruce Bochy's this is his 28th opening day as a manager, And Bruce Bochy said he'd never seen something like that. And, and Boch also said it probably cost him a few bucks too. And I was trying to figure that out, and I just gave up because if I were to do that for people, if I were to do that for the DLS crew, my wife would probably divorce me. So
Yeah.
good for Josh though, and it is a nice way to kick off the season, and then he said he wanted to be a leader, and he's at the same time though he said that he wanted to be light and funny and ha ha, but something like this is pretty serious, and it's a touching gesture and something that his teammates aren't going to forget.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And yeah, that is truly putting your money where your mouth is in this case, in Josh's case. And we talked to Kevin Pillar about it, and he said, every year the commissioner gives us, a gift opening day. You show up and there's something there for each major league player from the commissioner. He goes, I walked in and I thought, man, the commissioner's really stepping up this year. He's giving us a great gift. Then he goes, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, geez, maybe he's sending a signal with the collective bargaining agreement coming up, and he gave us a lot of camping gear. Like
Right.
maybe next year we got to be ready to camp at this time
Yeah.
of year. And then, of course, then he learned it was Josh, and again, even a guy like you say he's made it 10 years, and he was moved as well as everybody was by that gesture from Josh. So great start.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And, everybody hopes that he's a part of the club this year more than he has been definitely last year, and then in 22 when he looked like he was going to be a shoo-in for opening day and he hurt his shoulder, and then had the nice 23. So if the Rangers get him back and get Adola swinging a healthy bat, and contributions from the guys who slumped last year, and they have a chance to be really, really good offense. And but Josh Young is right in the middle of that. If they can pencil him in every day, they're going to get 25 home runs, pretty good defense, and a guy who just plays really, really hard.
Yeah, we're out there every single day covering the Rangers for you. Certainly, we're with them every day when they're home. So you should take advantage of that by becoming a diehard. Jeff is there writing stuff every day. We're there creating content. Abby Jones, our partner on this show, is there creating content. And much of it is available without your diehard subscription. But, Jeff, all that stuff that you're writing, all those things that you're bringing to the table, make this, and especially when it's going to be a good team, they make this diehard idea pretty much a no-brainer.
Oh, no doubt about it, and then today I did a roster breakdown, and did a little, what fans need to know, and then I just posted a column about kind of like our, what needs to happen for the Rangers this season, and I'm gonna write after the game. So I mean, there's no shortage of content coming at alldlls.com, but it's not just my stuff, it's Cowboys Mavs Stars, in addition to this stuff. But yeah, those of you who followed along with me at Rangers today, you know what I do. Those of you who are new to DLLS and my stuff, hey, I don't say this. I don't like to brag about myself, but it's worth it. Okay, you're gonna get complete coverage of the team, including the farm system. So do it. Become a diehard.
Yep, we appreciate that. Let's take a look at today's lineup. Frankly, Jeff, there's a couple of surprises in there. I mean, Kevin Pillar is not a surprise because we've kind of been predicting this with lefty Garrett Crochet on the mound. And yet, Leote is a switch hitter, so there was a chance there. I was a little bit surprised by Kyle Higashioka, and then Corey Seager in at DH instead of at playing shortstop, which, of course, that necessitated Josh Smith being in there to play shortstop.
Yeah, it's the Seager thing was I guess most interesting slash most concerning. He has a calf injury. He went out and tried to run. He did run in the outfield beforehand with the trainer Matt Lucero, and it didn't look like it went great. All right, being perfectly honest, it didn't look like it went great. I'm just reading how hard Corey was running or wasn't running, and kind of his body language afterwards. I think what it means, though, I asked Bruce Bochy about it. They want Corey Seager and Jock Peterson in the lineup tomorrow. The only way you can do that is if Corey Seager is playing shortstop. So this day at designated hitter is another day to help get Corey ready to play shortstop. Boch said, "Yeah, we probably could have pushed him out there, but give it some rest." It's interesting because what the weather is going to be like at minimum here. It's going to be 74 degrees and dry. The forecast Monday for Cincinnati calls for 44 degrees. Okay. So, it's cold. Do you want to have a guy with a calf strain go out there in the cold or there's less blood flow, things like that? So, there's some stuff to consider here. I wouldn't be surprised if Corey got a day off this series, possibly Sunday even. So, we'll see how it plays out. But to put Josh Young in there over Ezekiel Duran, Josh was really good against left-handers last year, and Garrett Crochet is a different left-hander. He's tough, but Josh being in there, he is the better defensive shortstop than Ezekiel Duran, the right-handed option. So it seemed like not a hard decision to make. Then with Higashioka, I thought that Heim would get the start just because he's caught Evaldi so much. And he is good against left-handed pitchers. That's Jonah's the right side is Jonah's best side. But they went with Higashioka, and a lot of that also might have had to do with the fact that Corey needed to DH. If Corey can play shortstop, then maybe both catchers find their way into the lineup. But Kyle had a really good spring, hit 3 home runs, hit over 300. Jonah is coming on. He hit well against Patrick Corbin the other day in the simulated game, but Kyle, the newcomer, gets the nod today.
Yep, no doubt. And that's just the first of so many lineups that will be discussed, in depth, many of them over the course of the season. It is interesting to see Wyatt Langford in that 3 spot in the batting order, Jeff. And again, not surprising at all. He seems like a pretty natural fit for that spot. But there had been a lot of talk about, who would land there. And I don't know that this one game necessarily means that's a landing spot for Wyatt Langford, but that's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think you'll see him batting there a lot. I do. It seems like that's where he was at the end of last year, where he was when things got going good. I think he batted there all spring when Seager and Simeon were in the lineup. So it seems like that's their plan for him. And I'm planning to write this, and I haven't done it yet. But you know, nobody after the oblique injury, after White came back from that oblique strain, nobody has said a word about him. Like, last spring, we had to talk to him every day. It was like, this is the guy, just draft him, gonna be this great player. Gosh, are they really gonna put him in the lineup without any time in the minor leagues, this, that, and the other? Talk to him every day. And then this year, we didn't talk to him at all. So it's amazing the difference a year make. He said it makes his life better. He said that chuckling because he likes us, but it's really interesting what the difference a year makes, and especially with him now he's just, he's in the middle of the lineup and he's expected to have a big season and nobody is worried that he's not going to. That's the thing, he's still a second year player, but he's going to be seeing guys that he's facing guys he's seen before, which wasn't the case last year for a lot of last year. So there's just a comfort level. And then when he did play this spring, he was fantastic, just fantastic.
Yeah, and I thought Boch's answer to your question to him about that was pretty good. He said, yeah, guy's getting veteran treatment already, which, again, and I think Boch went on to elaborate, paraphrasing now, but, he kind of plays like a veteran, approaches it like a veteran,
Yeah.
which is heady stuff for a guy who's, just in his second season as a major league player.
Well, and you kind of think about some of these old school guys like Bruce Bochy, and then I think about Ron Washington, and rookies played a lot during spring training. Um, you know, they were out there, whether they were on the team or not, they played a lot their first 2 or 3 years in the majors or in spring training before they got the you don't have to go across town to face the A's treatment or something like that. White had that all spring, and that kind of tells you um, how much they think about him and also what they expect from him.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this pitching matchup, particularly as it pertains to the Rangers starter, Nathan Eovaldi. He had a good spring. He got everything he wanted to get accomplished during the spring. What do you think we can expect from him today, Jeff, pitch count wise?
He's good to go. The last start was against the Angels, and he wanted to work on some mechanical things, and he did, and just great about it afterwards. Said it was his best outing. Everything's where he wanted it to be. That was 6 days ago. I'm sure he threw one or two bullpen sessions since then, just to make sure his mechanics are down pat. But this is the guy who's doing this for the fifth time in his career,
Yeah.
and he's doing it against his former team. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle. But he did it last year. We've seen him on the big stage before. He's been so good. So he will be excited. There's no doubt about it. I guarantee you, at some point in the post game press conference, he will say, I was too fast. I was going too fast. He gets excited and nervous for these things, but he's also able to slow it down. He has 5 or 6 pitches that if something's not working, he can find what will. And so I expect Nathan Eovaldi to be good. Expect him to be Nathan Eovaldi, give the Rangers a chance to win. And I'll be surprised if he's not there, still standing in the sixth inning.
Yeah, and somebody upstairs when we were prepping for the show asked, what's going to happen today? I said, look, hits are going to be hard to come by today. Garrett Crochet's good too.
Yeah, yeah, he really is. He was just a stud in the first half last year, but he was coming back from Tommy John surgery, and in the second half he wore down. And at the trade deadline, as he was being talked about as the guy who the Rangers, or not just the Rangers, but other teams could target at the trade deadline. He never got dealt, and a lot of it was the White Sox were probably asking way too much, but a lot of it is people didn't know how durable he would be in the second half, and the numbers really cratered. There's no doubt about it. But he had a splendid spring after getting acquired in the off season, and he's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. He throws hard. He's got a big slider, and yeah, you want all the right-handed bats in there you can get against this guy. So even then, though, it's not like he's sitting it on a tee. The Rangers are going to have some trouble today, mustering up much offense.
Yeah, love to see some of our DLLS colleagues in the chat with us. Kevin Gray, thanks for stopping by. Owen Newkirk, I think both of them, in fact, I know, Jeff, both of them have pre- and post-game show duties here in the studio later today as well. So,
yeah, what a day.
Yeah, it's what a day here in our studios. That's probably our busiest day yet as far as live shows go. So anyway, because they'll do two, we'll do two. So that's 6 right there. And the Cowboys have already done 1. We're up to 7. And so anyway, a very fun day for DLLS. It's opening day 2025. Jeff mentioned the fact that this is 28 for him as far as a manager opening days. And then he tried to calculate how many total. He said, I don't know how many as a player. He goes, 9, 10. He goes, anyway, I think it's about 40. This is about 40 total. And I was standing there talking with Kennedy, Jeff, when Boach walked out of the dugout and asked a quick follow-up, and he said, the one thing that's got me mad, still, I never started on opening day. I'm like, oh, wow, never started on opening day. And he walks away going, I'll soften it. Crappy managers. Not really. So anyway, Boach goes into it with his humor fully intact, and nobody gets it more than him. What a special day this is, Jeff.
Yeah, well, none of his managers are going to go to the Hall of Fame. All right, he is, and well, I think he did. He might have had Dick Williams, who was in the Hall of Fame, so maybe there's an exception there. But something interesting I learned about Boach yesterday. He was talking about guys who could really play the guitar really well, and he said that Eric Shaw. And he goes, anybody remember Eric Shaw? And one of the guys said, "Oh, I used to get a lot of his baseball cards." I said, "Eric Shaw. He gave up Pete Rose's record-breaking hit."
Yep.
And Boach went, "He did?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, who was catching that day? And it was him. So it was Bruce Bochy was the Padres catcher that day. And he said, yeah, I called a slider down and in on Pete. You could get him with the slide, and you could get him inside those days. And it just hung out there, and he was able to bloop it into right field, or left field, whatever field. So anyway, that's interesting. This guy's done some stuff in his career, guys. He's done some stuff.
Yeah. Today he tries to lead his team to victory in Game 1 of the 2025 season. Don't forget, we're back after the game with a post-game edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. Jeff will have all kinds of post-game information from there at the stadium, and we will wrap it all up right after the game, right here on your DLLS Rangers podcast. Enjoy baseball, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.